I got Tommy Krysan. He's got multiple podcasts that he does. And what is great, in addition to that, he's a youth sports organizer. Probably heard his voice or seen him before if you care anything about sports. Tommy Krysan, how are you?
Hey Matt, thank you for having me.
Oh,
My pleasure to be here.
So when I say people would know you, it's Talking Sports with TK.
That's
you
the
do
podcast,
that.
yeah.
Then you've got Sports Shorts that you and Ronnie Rance do that.
Yeah, we do it. I'll be on the radio 104.5 across the hall tomorrow morning with Ronnie. We do that once a week. But I've been a sportscaster for over 30 years in the radio business, and then for some reason they pushed us all on the TV side. I'm a little too ugly for that. I got a face made for radio. But, you know, it all went together some 10, 15 years ago. And you know, I'm lucky to be doing that because sports has always been a part of my life since I was a little kid. And it's fun to me. All my years in radio, 30 plus, and TV, I never didn't want to go to work.
Let me ask you this. When you said you've been in sports all your life, when did you really first get behind a microphone or a bullhorn, or when were you doing something in sports as a job?
Well, as a job? Well, let me tell you, it goes before that.
Okay, gotcha.
I was like 12 years old playing Little League football in St. Bernard Parish. And when the 7 and 8 year old team, you know, they played at like 1 o'clock. We didn't play at like 5 o'clock.
Sure.
I would be the little guy in the press box with a little mic. You had to push the button.
Yeah.
Number 10, Matt Watson. Number 11, Tommy Krysan. And the kids would run out from the end zone.
Great.
So actually, my broadcasting started when I was like 11, 12 years old.
That's great.
With the little old bullhorn speaker up on the side of the little press box.
Oh, wow.
You know? And then when I moved to the city of Covington, I was a recreation director there.
Okay.
Again, involved with sports. Mm-hmm. And it was a local AM station, WARB, owned by the Blossman family. And they, Trey Blossman, said, hey man, I got a political talk show, but you know sports. Why don't you come with me Friday, like 1 hour? We're going to not talk politics. We're just going to talk sports.
Yeah.
Well, I did that a couple of times. He said, you need your own show. So
there you go.
I was still the recreation director, but I had a show, and then we did Saturday morning stuff. So really like 87, 88 is when I started in radio, where I was like getting a couple of dollars to do it, you know.
Yeah.
but it's in one way or another, I've been involved in sports since I was 5 years old.
Wow.
And I'm an old guy. So.
Yeah.
And here's the key, and you know, I really appreciate what David St. Romain is doing for kids.
Sure, absolutely.
And I want to do the same thing. Here's why. I grew up in Chalmette, Louisiana, a little subdivision, small lots, small houses. There were several kids lived within 4, 5, 6 houses of me who made bad decisions, ended up in and out of jail, quit high school, the whole bit. Some reason I gravitated with a couple of guys that said, let's go throw the ball, let's go shoot hoop, whatever. So there was really a fine line for me maybe getting in the wrong path.
Sports was the difference.
Sports was the difference. And that's why today I'm happy to be involved in every way I can to give our youth something to do. Especially, I mean, this world's crazy now. We know that. It changes every 5 minutes. But if we can give kids something to do, David's doing it with the music. I'm involved with numerous entities of sports, giving kids a chance to be active, be physical, compete. Because sports teaches so much about life. Success, failure, teamwork. You got to be on time. You know, you got to listen to the coach. I mean, it builds character. It reveals character. So if we can give these kids nowadays something to do other than to hang out on the street, you know, whether it's music with David St. Romain, whether it's one of the many sports programs I'm involved with, and the many people that do things for kids. Sure. I'm just happy to do my part because I know the impact it's had on my life.
I coached my son Jack here. He played soccer through elementary school and into middle school, and and Kevin Geis, the other dad, we coached that. And the whole thing was, I mean, when you're coaching a youth team and you're dealing with some of the parents, I won't name any names, but some of them think that their kid is going to go play in the World Cup next year and needs to be out there all the time. And the whole thing was, you're teaching people to be responsible adults and work as a team, not to be a professional soccer player. If they get blessed so much, then great.
You know, I was lucky enough to play through the collegiate level in baseball, and it paid for most of my education. Okay, I was lucky. I'm one of the very few. When you look at the millions of kids that play youth sports,
oh, absolutely,
and only 25,000 of them go play in college, and then only
and a small percentage of
5,000 of them
them
go professional.
Yeah.
So I was lucky to go further than some people, because of sports. And some of my best friends in the world, I learned were teammates of mine. Baseball, not more important than teammates. But then all the things you learn about life, to be a good husband, a good father, to be a good business person, to be a good friend to a friend that's maybe struggling with something.
Sure.
All of that comes from sports because it just teaches so many values that transfer into other parts of life.
Sure, and I'd rather see it when my son was playing soccer. I'd rather have him say, "Oh, I hate soccer. I want to stay home. I want to do this or this." I'd rather have them arguing with the other kids or with me about playing time or can I play this position than I want to quit or something else and give up.
Yeah, and one thing I always said, even when I was the recreation director for the city of Covington, and the thing I hate the most about youth sports, there's a lot of things that aren't good. I couldn't stand it when a team did not win a game or a team did not lose a game. I felt you had to experience both. Everybody wants to win. That's why you got a scoreboard and all that. But I always felt a team would go 8-0 in Little League football, and I'm like, I wish they would have lost. It would have taught them more about life. Or that team that went 0-8. Wish they could have got that win one night. Maybe got a lucky bounce of the ball.
My son's team, they came up through the Y program. And once they got to a certain age, some of the other teams that they were playing, and this is soccer, some of the other teams, those kids gravitated to basketball or some other sport that was playing at the same time. So they started getting really good and really focused on soccer. And then I made what I thought was a nice decision, turned out to be a foolish decision. If you start beating teams by 10, I'll take you all to Sonic. 6 or 7 times of taking kids to Sonic is pretty expensive. So we got talking to Kevin. We said it's time to move them over to BRSC. And when they moved over, if I'm not wrong, you guys went from absolutely undefeated 2 years in a row to a year where they didn't win a single game. And let me tell you, the character of the kids that remained and said, we're gonna win next year.
And statistically, 75% of kids quit playing youth sports after 12 years old. And it's the number one reason why they quit playing.
Why is it?
They're not having fun.
Oh.
Yeah, now you got some that just get passed up athletically, physically, whatever, but the main reason is they're not having fun. It's not a fun experience. So, I got grandsons that play travel baseball now, and every time I say, play hard, have fun. I don't ever ask them if they won. I don't ever ask them if they lost. I just, hey, what kind of snowball you want after the game, But I always tell them to do your best and have fun. I mean, because at 10 years old, 12 years old, it's not fun when you're playing for a living for the New Orleans Saints or the New Orleans Pelicans or whoever. It's a different world.
That's
now,
of
course, college, but that's a topic for another day. But, I try to help be a part of making a fun experience, a positive experience for kids, no matter what sport it might be. And obviously, the bulk of my time with baseball, being an old ball player and all that stuff. So, that's the bulk of my time. But I do recognize, soccer and youth football and basketball and track and field and, and then what David's doing with the music. I mean, we got to do stuff for these kids these days.
Absolutely.
And we got to do it. I remember when I was young, y'all are the future. Well, I'm on the other side of that fence now. Your son, Jack, is the future. And everybody like him. So we got to do something.
What are the programs that you've got going? I know you have some going on now. What are some programs for people that might want to get associated with your program, give that opportunity to their child? What are some of the programs you can tell people?
Well, I work with the USSSA baseball program in the greater Baton Rouge area, from Zachary to Livingston to Central. I'm also on the board of directors for the Ascension Parish Recreation Baseball League. We had over 700 kids this year.
700
That's a big number, big rise for them from what they had. So I'm involved with that. I do private pitching lessons since I'm an old pitcher. And, anytime I can do anything to help with a sport. And sometimes that, I don't know how to coach soccer, but I go run the scoreboard.
Trust me, I didn't know how to coach soccer either.
The other thing, which led me to my announcing. I mean, I've announced thousands of games from high school, collegiate, and professional level in my career. So I've always been, I mean, there haven't been many days in my life when sports wasn't at least a little part of it.
So tell us about the podcast. You've got the Sports Shorts with Ronnie Rance. That changes? Do both your podcast and your show with Ronnie Rance, do they change by season on what sport you talk about, or you're primarily baseball focused?
No. It's whatever topic,
Okay.
whatever, national topic, local topic, the whole bit. Sports Shorts Daily with Ronnie Rance is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, about 10 a.m., about a 25-minute thing on Facebook Live and on YouTube. And then I'll appear weekly with Ronnie's Sports Shorts radio show. I'm on every Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. And then my podcast, Talking Sports with TK, over 33,000 listens. I mean, that's pretty cool.
That's good,
less than 3 years. All topics. I got
People
guests,
love
I got
sports.
guests from all over the country that come on with me. It's available on all your major platforms. iHeart, Google, Apple, TuneIn. I mean, there are 13 platforms that it's available on. And the best way is just connect with me on social media. Tommy Krysan, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube channel. And I am the oldest dude on TikTok. I'm the oldest dude on TikTok. I got a lot of followers on that.
We'll put all those links, everything at the bottom of the YouTube video. You and I haven't had a chance to talk baseball. My brother lives in Atlanta. He's a San Diego Padres fan.
Okay.
But he wears a Braves hat when he goes to see the Padres play the Braves in Atlanta.
Okay.
But we talk about, how about all these changes that they made in Major League Baseball? You got, all of a sudden I'm seeing third baseman in right field between a second baseman and a first baseman. I'm seeing a guy on second base to start the 10th inning if they're tied. I'm seeing people dropping their pants to have an umpire check and see if they brought bubble gum or Elmer's glue with them. And then you got some guy that shouldn't even be an umpire, Angel Hernandez, getting all upset because he's not officiating the World Series. What's going on with baseball?
The pandemic changed so many things, and getting rid of some of them silly rules for next year. None of those silly rules with the runner on second and all be used in the playoffs. So, but it bothers me being an old school guy and a baseball enthusiast to the core. But I've come to accept it. But here's the thing, and again, we could be here for hours, but I tune into a baseball game to watch baseball. Yeah. If I tune into the NBA, I want to watch basketball. If I tune into the NFL, I want to watch football.
Yep.
I don't need social justice advice. I don't need signs on the court and signs all over the stadium. If I want to delve into that world, I'll find the appropriate outlets to connect with. I mean, I think the pro sports and politics has always crossed lines, but now it's just blurred all into one line.
Well, when I turn on a baseball game, I'm there to watch the guys that play for the Detroit Tigers who are playing the Texas Rangers. I don't give a damn about watching Joe West and Angel Hernandez come out and stop the game and have the spotlight put on them as umpires.
And I officiated baseball and basketball for a long time, and I learned from the great Max Chauvin, basketball ref, who was my mentor. He said, Tommy, just remember this. No one bought a ticket to come watch you referee. They're here to watch the players play. So don't be part of the show. People like Joe West and Angel Hernandez and C.B. Buckner and some of them other ones, they think people are there to watch them umpire. People are not. They're there to watch the greatest baseball players in the world play baseball or football, basketball, whatever it might be.
If the game moves forward and neither side complains about whether that was foul or this or that or about a strike or something like that, and you went through the whole game without knowing who the umpire was, that means you had a darn good team.
Yeah, I mean, umpires are human just like players. I mean, players miss ground balls, they make bad throws, they strike out. And umpires are going to make mistakes, but that's why you got replay review.
Angel's making a good argument for the robotic calling of balls and strikes.
Well, not just him. I watch a ton of baseball, and it's amazing. Sometimes you go, what? Really? And even some of the announcers will go, what did he call?
Yeah.
And then the biggest thing you can do with that, I'm getting technical now, you watch the hitter's reaction. They know what a strike is and what it's not. And I'm not talking about that borderline ball where just a piece of the ball catches the box. I'm talking about that ball that's 5-6 inches outside. Those are professional hitters. They know that ball's outside. That's why they did not swing. Yep. And you'll see them turn back at that umpire like, come on.
When you see a game where a strike is called against a batter and he looks at the ump, and the catcher also looks at the ump. So you've got both teams looking at the umpire like, are you crazy?
Well, again, it's unfortunate. It's always been a part of the game, and we'll see what they do going forward. Again, I tune into sports to watch sports.
Sure.
Listen to the announcers. Most of them you can learn a lot of stuff from. And that's why I do it. I got friends, man, I ain't watching that. You know what? I love the sports. I'm going to watch it, but my focus is on the football or the baseball or whatever sport.
I'll tell you what, grew up Huge fan of the 1984 Detroit Tigers. Won the World Series against the Padres.
Correct.
Before my brother became a Padres fan later on. But Kurt Gibson still called with Parkinson's, doing well with his Parkinson's. He's still calling the games for Detroit. And when you listen to a game and he says, I can see what that batter, what he's doing is he's looking at it, and he's looking at the rotation of the ball, and he knows that the last time I was up, he was throwing this. He knows he's going to shift over because it's 3 innings later. He's a little more tired. He knows I've been watching him throw at everybody else. I mean, all this stuff that he's telling somebody his age or a kid in Little League watching the game is going to learn from him.
Kids that play baseball all the time, watch the game. Watch the college game. Listen to people like Ben McDonald and David DeLucci and Todd Walker, who all were great at the game and played in the big leagues for a long time. If you listen to them, you will learn more about the game you love. And there's many other announcers too, but people are familiar with those 3 names, obviously. I enjoy listening to Ben and Todd because I don't know everything. I'm happy to learn something.
Oh yeah, when you watch a game and you've got a great pitcher on, look, I'm from Midland, Michigan, so I watch a lot of Detroit Tigers, and they're not having a great season, but they're rebuilding. They're rebuilding. So you're watching this, but when you can get Kurt Gibson, my favorite sports athlete of all time, and then you get a game where you've got 2 great pitchers against each other. When you get Soto for Detroit Tigers, and then you've got somebody else like maybe interleague play, somebody that comes over that's incredible. They add Jack Morris is now your color commentator guy, Hall of Fame guy who made the split finger fastball famous. When he's in there talking about what's going through the head of the pitcher,
that's wonderful,
and all that other kind of stuff. It's so much fun to watch because. I mean, it gets
They've been there, done that,
and it gets you into the game.
And then you can. I tell kids all the time, watch the game and listen. But no kids can't sit still for real long. But they're not going to watch 9 innings like I might do. I don't even know how many times I watch 9 innings anymore. But but sports is a part of life. It's a rallying call for communities. Look what happened after 9/11. Couldn't wait to get back to the football stadium, back to the ballpark. So and even here in Baton Rouge, I mean, LSU, the stadium's going to be packed September 11th. For the first home game. So, it's a rallying cry for people to try to get away, because sports is really the fun and games department.
Sure.
Sometimes you got to get away from everything Governor Edwards talked about today and Mayor Broom talks about. Sometimes you just need a break.
I'll tell you,
sports is that break.
After Katrina, I'm at a party on the roof of somebody's apartment complex, and they rented a TV, and we're watching the Colts versus the Saints in the Super Bowl. And when they kicked that onside kick to start the second half, you could hear the West Bank cheering. Everywhere you could hear it. And that's what the city needed that so badly.
I was in the French Quarter that day.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful day in New Orleans.
Oh, gorgeous.
Blue skies, nice temperature, and we were all over the quarter. Went back to our hotel room. 20 people or so watched the game, spilled right back into the quarter. It was one of the most memorable days in New Orleans sports history because the Saints won the Super Bowl. And so I was in the quarter. I grew up not too far from the quarter out in St. Bernard Parish.
Oh, man, that's great.
I used to work at Pat O'Brien's, so I got...
A piano player?
No, I didn't play the piano, and I damn sure didn't sing because I wouldn't even think about singing after watching David St. Romain. But no, I mixed a few drinks on the patio bar.
And let me give a holler out. This show couldn't be possible without Baum Environmental. Baum Environmental is... Why don't you crack that? Crack this over. Look, right there. This is a beer from Capital Grocery. Ann and Alden, they don't just serve craft beer over there. They got your basics as well. They got Budweiser, leaded and unleaded over there. Baum Environmental is a sponsor of this show. We couldn't do it without them. Baum Environmental is trying to make this community healthier and happier for everyone who lives here by cleaning up the debris that gets in our streets, flows in our drainage, causes flooding, and they're also trying to find a permanent solution to our dump tire problem. They're doing it through innovation, proper planning, and putting the right systems in the right order to do things efficiently. Baum Environmental, proud sponsors of everything that make EBR great. If you want to find out what Baum Environmental can do for you, go to baumenvironmentalgroup.com. That's BAUM, Baum, environmentalgroup.com. Proud sponsors of everything that makes East Baton Rouge great. Now, When are you going to be on doing a podcast again? If you
Well, tomorrow I'm going to
morning.
drop a podcast about LSU football, and I have my prediction. I don't want to leak it out.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
They'll be glad to hear it. I'm being very serious when I make it. I am on record. I recorded a podcast in August of 2019. Said LSU would go 12-0 and beat Alabama. I got that one right. Okay.
Yeah.
So some people think I'm smart. Right? Not a lot. Some. So I got that one right. But no, it was recorded. Look, I kept playing it over and over.
Oh, I bet you wore that out.
Thousands of listens. But I got it right. You know, even a blind squirrel finds an acorn someday.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm dropping LSU podcast tomorrow. Connect with me on social media. There's always links there. But it's on Spotify, iHeartMedia. I know you guys are on iHeart here, so you can get it on all of that. Just search for Talking Sports with TK. Tomorrow morning at 11, I'll be on with Ronnie Rance on Sports Shorts Radio on 104.5 ESPN Radio.
Gotcha.
Baton Rouge.
So all that stuff.
Monday morning, 10 o'clock, Facebook Live. Ronnie and I will do Sports Shows daily. I'll be over at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood.
And this will be edited with all of his links and everything on the bottom, so everybody will be able to see all that stuff, and you'll be able to click it in. If you don't see him tomorrow or you don't see him on Monday, you can check it out even later after that. Tell me what you do sports, you do pitching, private pitching lessons, or pitching coaching lessons with folks. Yeah. But how many kids do you think you've had the opportunity to change the lives of by getting them into sports? And how many parents, two-part question, how many parents have thanked you for steering their kid in the right direction?
I'm a lucky dude. I mean, it's a lot. Yeah. It's a whole lot. I get text messages from former players, one that's playing football at Army now, but played baseball for me.
You've done it long enough. You probably do have people up in collegiate
playing
sports.
Football and baseball at Grambling. Mm-hmm. I texted him happy birthday last month. The parents and the kids that I am still connected with, it's amazing. I'm a lucky dude. I can promise you that. You know, and I always say, hey, just give your kid the credit. I just kind of gave him a little direction. They did it 100% on their own. Maybe I prodded them, pushed them, and I tried to make kids believe what they could be, because I could see what they could be. Sure. And so I'm a lucky dude to have made so many friends and relationships with families. I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm fortunate. I know that, and I value that every day. And that's what also drives me to help that next kid that I hadn't met yet, or to help that next mom and dad that I'm going to meet at the ballpark or whatever, or might pop on my podcast and something, you know. So it's what I do.
With the way that you touch families, I bet you get a lot of people that say, Coach Krysan, so-and-so told me you did wonders with their kid.
I got a call. Can you tell me? It happens every week.
Really?
And then the cool one is, like, there was a guy who I worked with for many years. He was an outstanding high school athlete. He's not going to play college sports, but could. I get a call from his mother about a year ago. You did so much wonders for him. We want you to work with the little brother now. There was a 4 or 5 year gap in the age between them. And she's like, we just want to use you because you did so much. I got a call last week from another guy. You still doing pitching lessons? I want to put my grandson in there. That just blows me away. You know, that's David St. Romain talks about how lucky he is in the music world, and he's fabulous, and the people that he's touched. Yeah, it makes me feel good to know that I touched some, because the thing I like the most is when that kid from Army sends me a text message and say, Coach, how you doing? Yeah. Or the kid from Grambling says, Coach, man, I appreciate everything you did for me. That's all I need.
Talking the same way, back to Michigan, Dennis Rodman goes to play for the Detroit Pistons, and everybody would say, Dennis Rodman, he's a screwball, all this. I read an article one time that Chuck Daly, coach of the Pistons, big winner coach, he says Dennis Rodman was the only guy that showed up at my house on Christmas with gifts for my kids, because he didn't have anybody. It was the coach that was the difference between him falling off the edge of the cliff or showing up to his house with gifts for his kids on Christmas and having a productive sports life.
And one of the greatest people to ever come out of Louisiana was part of those teams, Joe Dumars.
Joe Dumars. Oh, yeah.
I'm lucky enough to have met Joe a few times.
Oh, he doesn't have it anymore. Joe had a Louisiana-style restaurant, and talk about, he talked to people that worked there, how difficult it was to get crawfish to fulfill every time somebody would order it off the menu. But he wanted to deliver that Louisiana experience up there. Tommy, thank you so much for coming up here. Thank you, but more than just being here, thank you for how many kids you've worked with. And I wish you all the best with your podcast. And again, we'll put all the links on everything on the YouTube thing. But if you know anybody that's got a kid that needs to get into sports, or a kid that more than needs to get into sports, he really has to get into sports, or something else might happen in their life, get a hold of Tommy.
And I'll be happy to take the kids that kind of sports windows closing. I'm gonna send them to David St. Romain, get the music.
There you go.
I'm serious.
Go in the music
we all
business.
got to do what we can for these kids these days, man. It's
Absolutely.
important. It's important.
Tommy, thank you so much for coming
Matt,
in.
Jack, thank you.
You got it.
Appreciate
Thank
it,
you,
everybody.
Chuck, for
Chuck,
running the
thank
board. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for coming out here. We've got, there's plenty of shows. Go on the internet, go find out, go support your local musicians and comedians, and get out there. Thanks for watching. Take it to the mat. You have a blessed day.
I always appreciate when you tune in. Be sure to subscribe to the Take It to the Mat